All right, we're back, and we've got a couple more games to chat about before we run through the official league standings. Let's talk about a big winner. We're talking about teams making a comeback a little bit in week 9, making a statement perhaps. All Rain, I think, is one of those teams. A 4-1 victory against Angel City. Lisa, should we refresh folks on our picks in this one?
Sure, because I got this wrong. I was Angel City. You went OL Reign. Yeah, I mean a statement game from
Ugh.
Laura Harvey's side and OL Reign. It was a complete statement game. They go down 1-0. Angel City gets on the board first. OL Reign concedes, and you think, is this going to be it for OL Reign? Are they going to lose 3 straight? Are they going to suffer? And no, their response is dominant, powerful, and it's a statement. This was a statement game from OL Reign, Laura Harvey, and all of the players. And Angel City missing some players on their availability report, a little bit of COVID protocol happening with M.A. Vignola, Paige Nielsen. And that's defenders in their back line. Allie Riley doesn't get the start. We see June Endo starting on the left back position for Angel City. We also got to see Alyssa Thompson get the start, which was something I talked about in the preview. I wanted to see Thompson get the start, get minutes. She's so fast. She's so fun to watch, and she's just so fast. I love watching her play.
Yeah, you hate to see an availability report so clearly kind of impact kind of the tactics that you have to roll with during a match, and I think we're looking at that. I'm grateful that you and I we've got to see Junendo play lower on the pitch before in person when we went out to an Angel City game last season. And while she's a phenomenal player and very, very versatile, capable, she's much better higher up the pitch with
She's
this
much
Angel
more
City squad.
effective.
Oh
She's
yeah,
so much more effective up the pitch. She's a fine defender. She's great. That's why Freya Coombe could slot her in there. But you lose so much on the attacking side of Endo and her impact in the game when she's not as high up the field.
yeah, and you just sort of, I think maybe in the game like this, where I think maybe that's where some of the disappointment comes for Angel City. You have the lead in this game. You get on that scoreboard first. You have an opportunity in front of you to play ahead of the game. You have the opportunity to essentially set that tempo in the match and doing all that on the road. But they get this goal in the 27th minute, and that lead does not last longer than what, like 5 minutes or so, because you get Elise Bennett racking up her first goal as a member of OL Reign in the 34th minute. And it's the first of what would be 3 assists from Megan Rapinoe in this game. You want to talk about saying not today?
Yeah.
Absolutely, from Megan Rapinoe.
I mean, Megan Rapinoe was all over the pitch in this game. She really
She smashed it. She smashed it. Listen, I think at this point too, as we're entering June, we're about closing out the end of May and entering in June. There's a certain eye on certain calibers of players in these games. And it's not just your U.S. Women's National Team players, although that's what I'm alluding to here with someone in Megan Rapinoe. We're talking about players who are likely going to be gone for the World Cup this year. And OL Reign has a couple of those players.
As a number of them
contributed massively to this game.
Yeah, I think that they definitely contributed. I mean, we're talking about Megan Rapinoe. This was her first of 3 assists, but I'm also looking at the other side of it. When you're a player on OL Reign that knows a giant chunk of your team is going to be missing for a month, you want to be the next player that steps up and can make that impact. And I think Elise Bennett took that horse by the reins and kind of made that her priority, especially in this game, getting the opening goal to make it 1-1 at half.
Again, looking at the timing of all of these things, we're talking about these first 2 goals, how the Reign are able to level things going into halftime. And those first 10 minutes of a second half can turn out to be pretty crucial. And Veronica Latsko making sure that OL Reign capitalize on all of this momentum and energy that Megan Rapinoe is bringing in this game, because Megan Rapinoe notches her second in this goal from Veronica Latsko. And now you've got that go-ahead goal, and you're thinking, okay, this is good for the Reign. they've got control of this game.
Right.
They got it back early in the second half as well, after they got it back just to close out that first half. And you have to imagine getting that go-ahead goal. You're like, they're going to keep it. It's going to be fine. But I don't know if we would have anticipated this to end 4-1.
No. I mean, I think I'm really happy for Veronica Latsko because she had a number of shots and opportunities throughout this first half and throughout the game, and they weren't falling correctly for her, whether it was being saved by Didi Hadicic or just going wide or kind of what happened with it. But in the 52nd minute, as you mentioned, she gets the go-ahead goal, top of the 18. It's a banger of a goal. It's an incredibly beaut of a goal. And then just 3 minutes later, she bags a brace. Veronica Latsko, again from Megan Rapinoe. The sequence of events and the sequence of goals building up to this and passes, it service from the left side. Rapinoe knocks it down. It's a big switch of the field. It's wonderful.
You know what else I love in games? I love goals from substitutes. I love double substitute goals because we get Nikki Stanton and Quinn into this game, and the both of them link up for OL Reign's fourth goal of this match. It was just like, let it rain for real. And look, I think part of OL Reign's narrative or storylines last year was the fact that they could have long stretches of play of really good soccer and struggle to find the back of the net. And the truth is, there have been some weeks over the last 9 weeks where that has still haunted them a little bit. It's something that has still followed them. So I think when they have these moments where they finally get the breakthrough on goal, you're like, yes, this is the OL Reign that people want to see week to week. Now this is another game that they can point at and say, we are capable of big scoreline games, because they've got a couple already in this first half of the season. They had that big 5-goal blowout against Chicago. Now they've got this one against Angel City. I think you want to have this level of play. You want to have this kind of confidence as you're heading towards that midway point, as you're heading towards the World Cup, where you're probably going to lose more players, to international duty. It's a good one.
And for OL Reign, the fact that they can find the back of the net with Latsko getting the brace in this game, it ends up being her third goal on the year. And then she becomes the fourth OL Reign player with 3 goals on the year. Balser, Fishlock, Heitema, and Latsko now. So that's incredible to see that this team not only can find the back of the net and run up a scoreline in a 4-1 win, but it's balanced scoring. It's not like they've got one player running away with all the goals.
And when we were talking about this on the preview, this kind of skid, this slump, maybe that the Reign had hit going into this match against Angel City. We talked a little bit about their availability report and how that might have affected that. And obviously the big name on there, Rose Lavelle, and how people are like, oh my goodness. And it's like, she's not available. And what does this mean for international play? What does it mean for club play? It's very clearly that, they miss her. But, you and I were both eager to see the return of Quinn. We both agree that they're a player, that they're someone who provides a certain layer of toughness to this team, and so it was good to see. It was good to see them back onto the pitch and get subbed in and get a 15-ish minutes. Again, a player who's essential, probably not just for club, but possibly for Canada as well. As
and they've been injured. They've been injured, so Quinn needs to build up their time and their fitness back on the pitch, and that's what we saw. Laura Harvey throwing Quinn in around the 76th minute in place of Emily Sonnet in that 6th role, and then less than 10 minutes later, Quinn.
For me, this game is like, I think we started at the top of this episode talking about Portland and referring them to kind of their deep bench, but I would consider OL Reign probably the other team right next to Portland is probably one of the teams that has the deepest roster in the league. And I think when you
don't always get to see it
because of all of the availability reports. So as we start to see these players kind of work their way back into form, that's when you're like, yes, okay. When you have these players at your disposal, when they're starting to work their way back into form, you could sort of see how they could kind of overshadow or dominate
Mhm.
another team. Whereas, like with Angel City, we're talking about they have players that are still working their way back. I know folks are curious about Julie Ertz and her availability. How
Right.
good did Cheetah go right now? We haven't seen her play in the last few games with Angel City. Is this a minutes restriction? Is it planned? Is it more about getting games closer to a World Cup versus right now at this moment? We'll see. But what we do know is that it led to a win for OL Reign with their players who were available with such good play on the pitch. Megan Rapinoe looking good before this World Cup. It's a good game to point to and say, I can do this, this, and this. We've got one more game to recap, though. We cannot end the show before talking about Racing Louisville
Mhm.
against North Carolina Courage. The Courage taking the win in this one. Lisa, what were our picks?
You had a draw. I had Racing Louisville taking the win. So
We
both of
both
us are losers.
We both love to end the show with an L. Look, we talked a little bit on the preview about Racing Louisville and their momentum, and also North Carolina as well.
Yeah.
They continue their unbeaten streak. But part of my concern was, you have a player in Savannah DeMello in which she's had such great standout play for Racing over the last several weeks. And for me, I'm like, the footage is out there. All the highlights are out there. You can look at this player and formulate a game plan
Yep.
around that. And I think that's what we saw in this game. It's a 2-1 victory for North Carolina Courage. They take all 3 points. Caroline with outstanding attacking
Massive.
play in this game and a goal to boot.
Yeah.
You love to see it.
Massive for North Carolina. They had really good ball movement. I agree. I think Savannah DeMello for Racing Louisville is still a big catalyst for them in the middle of the field. You asked me in our preview, can she keep it up? Can she do it? And I think she can.
Yeah.
I think she did throughout this game. She was
Mhm.
the transition for them. She was the outlet pass. She was the switch pass. She provided those opportunities to help support Racing Louisville, to bring them out of trouble that they were in, but it just wasn't enough for against this North Carolina side. But it doesn't happen until the second half. Early in the second half, 53rd minute, North Carolina gets on the board first. Ryan Williams, we see for North Carolina. She played as a center back last week. She's now back outside on the flanks. That's where she's got to play. Ryan Williams is just too good at services into the box to be too much of a central player. And that's who sends this ball in from right outside back. She sends it in and Matson finds the goal. She had good opportunities in the first half, and this one finds Madson's head, and it's her first NWSL goal. The backflip celebration to conclude all of it as well. And after that, the game became a bit more transitional and a bit more fast paced, but within 10 minutes, North Carolina gets another one. Caroline inside the box, strikes it upper 90 past Lund. Like Caroline, this goal was stunning. This was what made her an MVP in last year's Challenge Cup for North Carolina. And in the final waning minutes of this game, Racing Louisville gets one back. So they still had a little bit of fight, a little bit of bite in them. They applied a lot of pressure towards the end of this game, trying to create something, trying to get back into it. And in the 88th minute, Jordan Baggett flicks it into the goal in the waning minutes just to try to get one back.
Yeah, love the service in from Laura Millay. I think a player that has gone a little bit unnoticed. I think for Racing in their kind of streak that they headed into before it got snapped here. But a player who's been with Racing since they entered the league, and a lot of good play out on the flank. So I thought it was very telling, or felt very appropriate that she helped deliver that kind of chaotic ball into the box. But the win for the Courage keeps them in the upper half of the table. Let's run these numbers for you because it is the end of the month. Let's see where everyone is at after the month of May. Number 1 is still Gotham FC. They keep number 1 with 17 points. Portland Thorns back at number 2 with 16 points. OL Reign also with 16 points, but at sitting at number 3. San Diego Wave FC with 16 points at number 4, and also with 16 points. Washington Spirit at number 5. North Carolina Courage with 14 points at number 6 to round out the upper half of the table. Outside looking in at number 7, 12 points. Houston Dash Racing Louisville at number 8. Orlando Pride number number 9. Angel City in 10th. Chicago Red Stars jump up to 11th place, and Kansas City Current sitting at the bottom at number 12. What a month. It's been real.
That 4th straight loss for Kansas City pushes them to the bottom, and just one win for Chicago in the last 6 games, as we said, jumps them up one place. But crazy to think that Gotham stays at the top. There was, throughout the weekend as the games were happening and you watch the standings live, they're jumping around. Gotham dropped, they jump back up. Portland was at the top for a little. A lot of different moments happening, but Gotham stays on the top.
The month of May, you were wonderful. We'll have to revisit the standings again at the end of June to see if Gotham can hang on to first place on the standings. It's tight up in that table as we take a pause and head into week 10. That's all we've got for you today on Attacking Third. Thanks, everybody.